Hi, everyone. Take my whiskey neat. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. I feel super discombobulated, which is one of my favorite words. We had hockey super early this morning. And actually it was so I guess it's at 8 a.m. And then yesterday or tomorrow it's at 7 a.m. for Harbor. The little runts always get the worst practice times. I think it's just part of the it's just the way it is. There's a pecking order. So the little ones get the worst practice time. Today it's 8 a.m. Tomorrow it's 7 a.m. And I was actually wide awake. I can't sleep much later than 7 a.m. these days. That's definitely sleeping in. So I was up long before that this morning. Miss Winter crawled in our bed last night and she sleeps sideways. Do any of your kids sleep sideways? I could just. And my husband was snoring. So I left them and went and slept on the couch. And this is going to sound weird. Hey, Nikki. But I have a couch that is very comfortable. If I didn't have trouble finding a blanket because Cooper hides every blanket in our house, that's my frustrating thing is we can't have blankets on our couch. We can't have blankets. Hi, is it Donnell? Am I saying that right? Hi, new subscriber. Hi. We can't have blankets out because he hides them. It's just part of who he is. So every night we have to find blankets for our beds. It drives me batty. He mostly leaves the little ones alone, their beds, but he'll take, last night he took our comforter, which we had to take back. And so I was laying there at 3 a.m. and I was like, I'm just going to go sleep on the couch because it's so comfortable. And then I was like, but I have no bedding. So I went and stole Winnie's blanket. And then because she was in our bed, and then I went and slept on the couch. And Harbor was up pretty early. This is Harbor. If you guys want to know what a little shish kebab he is, he is a sneaky little. So where I was sleeping, I can see the stairs coming down, and I was already awake. And I watched him come down the stairs, but I was not moving. I was like, don't see me, don't see me, don't see me. And he went right in the kitchen. And what's the first thing I hear? He's moving the chair to get the treats that are on top of the counter and the cupboards. Oh, Linda, what book? Oh, did you order my book? Yay! Did you get the paperback or the hardcover? This is the paperback. Oh, thank you, Don. Oh, yeah. If you want to, sorry, I'm doing this video on Facebook and YouTube just for both of you. YouTubers, if you want to comment, you have to click subscribe. It's free. It's basically following on Facebook. But if you want to subscribe, to comment, you have to subscribe. I do that because if I don't have that on, I get 500 scam comments that are really colorful about my appearance and my sexuality. A lot of gross things like who's your daddy? I mean, what is it, 1997? So I have to have it so you could only comment if you're a subscriber, which is free on Facebook or YouTube. Okay, so there's some things I wanted to tell you, and I shared this a little bit last night on a video. Cooper, so my son Cooper is 13. This is him today. So if you can see him, he's so stinking cute. He's just a squishmallow. He's so sweet, so cute. Do I have a baby picture of him? And here's him as a baby, just so you can get this side by side. There's him as a baby. Look at his hair. Oh, my heart. I could just still love him up. So he was diagnosed with autism. I can explain it. I can explain it, the YouTube, Facebook difference, if anyone is curious. So when I started sharing my story, I started on YouTube. So actually, I started a blog, which is like a written website. It was called Finding Cooper's Voice. Well, it still is. And then I wanted to do videos. So I started doing videos on YouTube. And I stopped because either it's changed where you can limit comments, or I just didn't know about it back then or whatever, but the comments were so awful. I just couldn't take it. Like I like distinctly remember this man. I wrote about it. Like I can distinctly remember this. This man said, if my kid was an R word, or if your R word kid was by, and they didn't say R word, they said the word. If your R word kid was by my kid, I'd have my kid knock your kid's ass out. Like I can still like see it, like still see and I was so new to sharing that I didn't realize that like some people are just awful. So like it really jarred me that someone would say that about my sweet boy. Like my my Snoopy is just such a sweetheart. Like I'm like, why would you want your kid to knock his ass out? Like I remember like I was just really like, this is so crazy. So I stopped sharing on YouTube for a long time. And then I went just to sharing on Facebook, which I love Facebook. I'm just a Facebook. I love it. I love the community. I love Trikes. I'm 40, but I love Facebook. I'm trying to reach more people, much like my friend Adrian is. So I'm going back to YouTube simultaneously. So like if you follow me on Facebook, you're not going to miss anything on YouTube. Just know that. Very rarely, like you're not going to miss anything. But I'm sharing on YouTube again, and it's just a little different than Facebook. So like on Facebook, on YouTube, to comment, you have to subscribe. All that means is like you're following it. It's just different terminology. I'm sure they pick different terminology just to differentiate. So on Facebook, it's follow. On YouTube, it's subscribe. And so what's nice about that is when I go live, you'll get a little alert. So also just totally like Sawyer told me that if I get to 100,000 followers on YouTube, he'll think I'm super cool and love me. Right now I have 14,000 subscribers on YouTube, so I have a long ways to go. Like 86,000 people. So if anyone wants to help me, just enter Finding Cooper's Voice into YouTube and click subscribe. Every person counts. But I really want to get to 100,000. So Sawyer, totally joking. I'm never going to get there. But just so Sawyer thinks I'm cool. Because like he'll say things to me. He's like, yeah, he wants the plaque, Don. He wants the plaque. YouTube sends you a plaque when you reach certain levels. And so he'll say things to me. He's like, I would say like every couple months, he's like, how many subscribers do you have? And I'm like, well, I have a million, like 1.1 million on Facebook. And he's like, what do you have on YouTube? And I'm like, Sawyer, I make a difference. I help people. And he's like, parenting is hard. You will hear me say that parenting is easy. You're not gonna get that from me. I'm not one of those people. For me, it's hard. I feel torn and conflicted and guilty and all the times. I mean, parenting is the best ever, but like so many times I'm like, ooh, like right now I cannot potty train my daughter, and I'm giving up. Like I'm giving up. I don't know how to do it. I'm giving up. But my 6-year-old has started playing sports now, and so I would say Jamie and I take turns. Hey, Julie. Jamie and I take turns bringing him to practice because he only has 2 a week. And so, like I said a second ago, it's 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. So it's like short straw, who's going, right? And so this morning I brought him, and I was actually, it's practice. Like they're just like a bunch of little like buckets skating around, falling down. It's very cute. But he thinks that I should watch him the whole time. And if it was a game, of course, but it's practice. There's like 100 kids out there. So we get there today, and I brought my computer because I have to do the final read through of Autism Out Loud. So Autism Out Loud is the book that Carrie and Adrienne and I wrote together, and they've already done their final read through. I haven't yet, so it's due Monday, and I've just been drowning lately. So I'm trying to squeeze things in, and so I get them dressed, I get them on the ice, and I sit on it's 40 degrees in there. I sit on the bleachers, my butt's frozen, and I did the read through. I got through chapter 5 of the book in the hour. That's how long it took. And then essentially, like, I have to, like, if I see something wrong, like if there's something wrong, I have to, like, you know, copy it and then paste it and send it. So I have to pay attention because there's a typo in this book. Not a typo, like a discrepancy. And I'm not sure if you know what it is. But in here, I'm telling a story and I'm talking about my niece, and I say Cooper's niece. And like 5 people have caught it out of the hundreds of thousands that have read it. Like 5 people have caught it that I say Cooper's niece. So things like that. And so I had to work the whole time. I would look up and, like, I would wave and stuff. And so we're walking out, and I change him and we're walking out, and he goes, "You were on the computer the whole time." And I was like, "Buddy, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sweets. I really have to get this done. This is the only time I had." I'm like, "But I watched you. I saw you." And he's like, "You didn't see me. You were on your computer the whole time." And I go, "If it was a game, I'd watch the whole thing. But buddy, a lot of times you're just standing in line waiting to do the drill. Like, there's just not a lot to watch." But I felt really bad. Just it's does anyone just feel like you're, like, constantly coming up short? Like, damn it. Like, I don't know. And so I said, when I bring you next weekend, I will watch every second. But I have to finish this today. But I felt really bad. Okay, back it up. So my son Cooper, he's 13. He's my firstborn. And one of the things that I try to share about autism, there's many things, but it takes time. So everything he's accomplished, like, it takes time. It takes years. We are seeing huge gains in the last year. So for context, and I've heard this from other moms too, like, of course, y'all, I don't have a crystal ball for your kids, but age 10 was a huge turning point for Cooper, and then age 12. And he's just doing things. And what I think is so interesting, and one of the unique gifts that autism gives us, right? There are challenges. I'll never negate that. But there's these gifts where I get to see these awesome things that he's doing that most kids just do and we just take for granted, and, like, we don't even, like, pay attention to. And so yesterday, I have a couple of stories for you, but at the end of the day, we were all sitting around the table, and I said, "Does anyone want to do movie night tonight?" And normally movie night is my other 3 kids. And I would say mostly just Sawyer and Harbor, because Winnie's little and she doesn't really pay attention. I mean, maybe now, but she doesn't really pay too much attention to the movie. She'll play. And then Cooper would never pay attention to the movie. Like, he would never pay attention. It's just, he'd be watching his iPad. I said, "Does anyone want to do movie night tonight?" And Cooper's like, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh, you want to do movie night?" And he's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Do you want to have popcorn?" He doesn't eat popcorn. I'm like, "Do you want popcorn?" He's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Do you want to go downstairs and watch it in the basement?" He's like, "Yes." And I was like, "Okay." So then I was cooking dinner, and we made brownies last night, and we got that out of the way. And I went and took a minute and sat in the living room. And Cooper comes in, and he comes and sits next to me. And he turns his cell phone screen to me, and it says the Polar Express. And he goes, ooh, and he points to the basement. I go, "Do you want to watch the Polar Express for movie night?" And he's like, Yes! He gets so excited. And I'm like, you guys, Cooper has never, when I tell you like how monumental this is, like, I want to participate in movie night. I want to help pick the movie. I mean, these are things that like would never happen. And so I said, I love that movie choice, but we've watched it a million times. Let's pick out a different movie just to see what he'd say. And he goes, this is new. He goes, when he's thinking, he goes, And another thing he does when he's done with hard work, he'll go, so cute. So cute. So he goes, And he takes a second and then he types something in his phone and he shows it to me and it says Cars. I go, so Cooper probably has 3 or 4 movies that we've seen a million times. Madagascar's, Cars, Moana, The Good Dinosaur, The Jungle Book. He's very much like a Disney guy. And so I go, that is such a good movie. I'm like, but we've watched that so many times. I was like, what if we asked the other kids to pick a movie? And he goes, And he's like staring at me. So I was like, how about Inside Out 2? Because I really want Sawyer to watch it. For parents watching, Inside Out 2 is the best depiction of puberty and anxiety in teens that I've ever seen. I think it should be mandatory viewing for every child. It is so phenomenal. I sat in the theater with Harbor. It is phenomenal. So I go, how about Inside Out 2? Now, he doesn't know Inside Out 2. That's like, I mean, I'm sure he's heard of it, but he doesn't care. So he goes, yes, yes. And I was like, oh, like, again, flexibility, excitement, willingness to try all new things. So then I got to talking and I was doing something. And then he turns the phone to me and it says 2. Like he had typed the number 2. And I was like, oh, do you want to watch Cars 2? And he's like, no. And he pointed to my lips. And I go, Inside Out 2. And he's like, yes. So he had me spell it, INSIDEOU2. So then he typed it into his phone and it brought up like the previews. He's so smart. He's so stinking smart. So then he's sitting there with like his preview, like of the movie on his phone. And he points, we watch movies in the basement. So he points to the basement and then he looks at me and he's like, I'm like, we're going. I'm like, but we have to wait for Sawyer to be done and all the people, we have 6 people. And I go, do you want to go down and wait? And he goes, yeah. And he said, yes. So it's yeah. And then he had me set a timer and he like held me to it. He wanted to watch the movie in 10 minutes. And I was like, you are so funny. You're so funny. You guys, he has never, and this is the beauty of autism. I know there's hard parts. I say this every time because someone's going to say to me, it's not beautiful for us. We have so many challenges, but I had to shift my mindset and focus on these wins and small, big things and joys. And I'm telling you, him doing this like blew my mind. I teared up. Like I like had tears in my eyes. So we all get downstairs and then he won't watch the movie though. So if we would have picked Cars or Polar Express, he would have watched it, one of those 5 or 6, but he would never watch a new movie. And we know that about him, So he has his iPad and we're like, no, it's too loud. You have to put headphones on, which is one of our big goals. If you follow me closely, our goal is headphones. He went and found his headphones and he put them on. He only wore them for like 10 minutes, but I mean, that's 10 minutes longer. So then we did have to say like numerous times, like turn it down. But we were able to watch most of the movie. He eventually went up to bed. Cooper does not stay up late. And by late, I mean, we watched the movie till 9. But he probably went up about 8:30. That's like, he calls it. I was just blown away. I always talk about this light at the end of the tunnel and how someone said to me, for some autism families, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. And now what I say to that is I really had to adjust my light. What does success look like for our family and for Cooper? And really success could be him letting the five of us watch a movie and not stimming on the TV or not, whatever. Well, him sitting with us is a really big deal. If you just have neurotypical kids like my other three, I'll tell you, they're always with us. Like we would never have to be like, and I know it changes in teenagerhood, please, I know that. But like most of Cooper's life, like it's often felt like Cooper is just in his own world. And how do we bridge these two worlds, this autism world and this neurotypical world? I have these three kids over here and I have this kid over here. How do we get them to engage with each other and be present together and develop a relationship? Oh gosh, you guys, that's one of the hardest parts for us. So like every movie, Cooper would just be upstairs. He wouldn't want to be with us. And I used to write about this more because it was more prevalent. I would often say I miss Cooper. My husband would say the same thing. Like we miss him. He's in our home, but he's not engaging with us. And I think that's hard to understand if you're outside of our world, if you don't have a child like ours. Like how can you miss someone? He's in your house. Well, like here's an example. Like on the way home from hockey today, Harbor asked me like a million questions. He's like, "Mom, there's wooden hockey sticks. What are the other ones made out of?" I mean, I could go on and on. He goes, "Mom, I know that people in heaven can see us, but why can't we see them?" And then there was a man walking. He had to be in his 90s. He had like two canes like this. And Harbor goes, "Mom, when we die, are we in a wheelchair first?" I mean, you wouldn't believe the questions he asked. How old was great grandma when she died? Like, this is what our conversation, he's like just a precocious 6-year old. Like, this is like what 6-year olds are like. Cooper's never asked me a question. He's never asked me a question. Never. I mean, zero. Never asked me a question. Never asked me why the sky is blue. He's never asked me, why is a train have steam? He's never asked me a question. And there's times where I'll miss him and I can touch him, it's like, it's this feeling that I've never been able to put into eloquently explain. So to have him join our family, it's just a really big deal, you guys. It's just, I get these glimpses of the future, just these glimpses. And actually last night I had one kind of deep thought. Cooper really loves the chaos of his siblings. He really, truly does. Like for him and who he is, he loves having his siblings be around here and be naughty and run amok. And, that's like his joy. And so I had this thought last night when we were watching the movie, what's going to happen when they're gone? Like, he's going to be so bored. He's going to be so bored. Sawyer said to me one time, this is in one of my books. I don't know if it's in, or maybe I just wrote about it. But he said to me after a sleepover, he said, "Does Cooper understand that I'm going to leave one day?" He said that to me, Sawyer. And I said, "No, honey, he doesn't. He doesn't understand that you're going to leave someday." And I'm like, I don't know if any of us understand that you're going to leave someday. That's hard to acknowledge. And he's like, and he was younger and he thought about it and he goes, "I can't stay here forever just for Cooper." I'm telling you guys, I cried like a damn baby. I was like, you don't have to stay here, bud. You get to go and live your life and fly. Just remember to come back. We want to see you. But it was just probably one of the more profound moments in my life that I remember. Does Cooper know I can't stay here forever? Oh, God. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? I'll also tell you last night, or Cooper had a haircut yesterday, and it was so good. Do you think Autism Out Loud will be your last book? Any plans? Oh, I'm going to keep writing. I have, well, as long as I keep getting a publishing deal. I don't have the capacity right now to self-publish, truthfully, honestly. So the difference between self-publishing, and there's a lot of differences between self-publishing and publishing. Both are great. There's pros and cons to both. But I have someone editing and doing this and all of it. Self-publishers do that themselves, and I don't have the capacity with 4 young kids, so I have to get another book deal to do it. I picture something on siblings. I would love to write a caregiver grief book. There's been no interest in it though, from when I pitched. I really want to write a book on that. I picture something on the educational side, but not like IEP law, what it's like to have a child in special education. I have lots of ideas. Nothing. I love to write about siblings. I would love that, but I don't know if anyone would buy it. So with publishers, it's really a money deal. Like it needs to be like they need to sell X amount of books. And so that's why they said that they don't know if anyone will buy the caregiving book. And that blows my mind. Like there's so many caregivers, but they just don't. I don't know. Maybe that one I'll have to self-publish. And then I would love to write a children's book with Sawyer. I would love to write a children's book with Sawyer someday. And he wants to. He wants to. So I think that would be really fun. Really quickly before I go, the haircut, phenomenal yesterday. I have said this now for a while. Every haircut Cooper has is better than the one before. And I'm not saying that to be cheesy. Like, I think sometimes, I think we think people embellish. Everyone has gotten, in the last year, has gotten a little bit better. He had a completely behavior-free haircut yesterday. And would it look perfect if you're a fly on the wall? No. It would not look perfect if you were a fly on the wall, but it was perfect to us. He walked in, he sat down, he had his hair washed, which is, I mean, it's taken 13 years. He had to change his shirt because it got wet. She cut it with scissors, did the clippers, and then did the neck and the ears, and then had to clip it again because he has like a mop of thick hair. It's like the thickest hair ever. He did all of it. We had to change his shirt again. So he finished his haircut without a shirt on. I'll bring 2 shirts next time. He will not wear a cape. He will not wear a cape. He is an adamant no. It would cause a meltdown. And like he throws things. Like she's constantly putting towels on his neck and his lap, and he's like throwing them. So funny. I'm like chasing towels. I'm like, oh. But he is able, so for 10 years, we cut his hair at home, and then we were able to go into the salon when they were closed. And now it's tiny. It's only 3 chairs. Now we go when they're open. We've always had the same girl. Her name is Janelle. She doesn't have autism in her life. She's actually friends with Jamie from high school. She's awesome and patient and kind. It's good. It's good. And I can bring him alone. He can let me, I can pay, I can walk out. In our harder years, he was very much like a runner and a bolter and a head butter. Like he would go like this, and people were scared that they were going to like hurt his ear, or I mean, it would be very normal for him to be like this, and then like this Janelle's like, oh my gosh, what if I cut him? She's so scared. He didn't do any of that. He's super proud. So he's like, after he gets it, he's so cute, you guys. He's so cute. And he works hard. Like I never want to overshadow that. Haircuts are hard for him. Like I think so often we overlook that. We like see a person behaving badly. He doesn't want to behave badly. It hurts or it bothers him. It's just so important to remember how hard these individuals work. He works really hard to get his haircut. Of course, I've been so frustrated over the years, guys. Please know that. So yeah, that went really well. Yeah. He's rocking it. He's rocking it. And then His speech device also got damaged. So he has an AAC speech device that got damaged by a peer, and he's handling it really well, which is good. He's handling it really well. I would say years ago, something like that would really throw him off. Did Cooper get a cake pop? Georgie, he did get a cake pop, but he didn't eat them, which is really strange. We're doing some things to help Cooper with his weight. We're real worried about diabetes, and I've shared this a lot with my subscribers on Facebook and YouTube too. I don't like to talk about medications about Cooper publicly and widely, but we're doing some things to help him curb his appetite and handle his weight, because we worry so much about diabetes. We're just terrified how we would manage that. So his appetite is less. So we got the cake pop, and then he saved it. So he'll probably eat it today. And I'll tell you, as someone, food was our biggest challenge for a really long time, just obsessive compulsive eating, like ripping cupboard doors off the cupboards. Really hard. And unless you live it, you can have no idea how hard it is. Oh my gosh. That's a story for another day. Okay, I'm gonna hop off, y'all. I put the subscribe button on my Facebook page. Come subscribe. I'll probably do a live. I do live like every other day to my subscribers, and YouTube as well. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you learning from us and just believing in Cooper and our family. I hope that we are a bright light for you. I hope that if you had a child just diagnosed, or you're in the thick of it, that you can look at this boy and feel hope and feel joy and love, and just know that you're not alone. So, okay, bye. Bye, everyone.